Call to order. Do we have minutes from the last week?
We do. Wait one second.
Okay, I'm sorry, Paul.
I believe they're the second page. These are the minutes from May 20th.
September 16th.
Oh, September 16th.
I mean, no, I'm sorry. You're right.
That's tonight.
One note, the agenda
October 16th.
says September 16th, 2019 on the agenda,
October 16th.
so we should change that.
Then it says September.
The only minutes I have are for October 16th. Is that what we're talking about?
Right. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 16th, 2019.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? You're talking about today's agenda? It says 2019. We can make a correction, I'm sure. So we can make a correction, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Everybody all set? Still looking at the information given. The applicant is Robert Dumont Construction, property owner Matthew and how you pronounce it?
Tiano?
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any questions? You want them to present?
Purpose is to get a variance of a setback wall that's higher than 4 feet in height in the 25-foot setback. It's mountain residential district. They were given a building permit a year or so ago for a foundation, and then it was noticed that one of the walls was going to be over 4 feet in height. Therefore, the cease and desist order was given. Now we're here about the setback, the wall exceeding the 4 feet height in the setback.
But I think cease and desist was given because of the excess of the 15,000 square foot rule. Am I correct?
Yes.
Chairman, I recommend that they come up and present their case.
Can you come up and present, please? We'll start with that.
Are the Tianos there?
Let's see. I have plans, the latest plans that were drawn up for the water mitigation,
And,
and it shows a rock wall on it. This is our engineer, Bill Gregsack,
okay, just for the record, if you could just state who you are, that way there.
and copies if you'd like to take a look at them, and there's some over there as well.
Then we've got a few.
Okay.
Something we can read instead of small.
Then I have a small plan, which is just just a highlight of the walls. Some photos that were taken, and the photos that you place on the plan about the location inside the field. Not sure how you handle this. Some ZBAs, they ask us to read the application with our responses to each of the questions. Is that how it's usually done here?
Is that,
No, we've all read it, right?
we've all read it, yeah. If you have
Okay,
any questions,
all right.
we'll ask, I guess.
So, you know, the events that happened out there is that the permit, they started the construction, and then a cease and desist was issued, and then we were hired to do the stormwater management plan. And in preparing the stormwater management plan, you know, we needed to design retaining walls into the site because of the, one of the facts is that there's an existing retaining wall along Queensway that was built when they built Queensway. And so we have to break through that retaining wall, and
You guys want to pass that around?
that,
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's a retaining wall that goes by the street.
so there's no getting around the fact that we had to break through a retaining wall to enter the property.
Okay.
That's already, you know, it's only a few feet back from the property line on our property. And then the other area is the back of the property where there is a driveway that circles around. And what we're proposing on all of these are 6 foot boulder retaining walls. And the for us to keep that wall out of, it's virtually almost impossible to keep it out of the setback in the back. Instead of if we would have to move the driveway, and instead of a 6 foot wall, it would end up being a 8 to 10 foot wall. We would end up going to concrete.
So the wall in the front that you're adding here, well,
Those walls are all over.
yeah, is that one gonna be over 4? I went out there and this one looks like it's gonna be over 4 feet also.
Yes, yeah,
But is that in the variance area?
yes, because,
Right here.
yes, because if you go to this plan right there.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, you can see our front setback right here.
This is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's our front setback. So it goes back pretty far.
Mhm.
And then even our rear setback,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's,
pushes it, yeah.
and you just said that's so that you can have a 6 foot wall of stone rather than an 8 foot wall of cement.
Right, and this
Okay.
way we could keep our driveway where it is. And
Yeah.
the driveway comes up at a nice slope the way it's designed.
Okay.
So the setback is, on this plan is the dotted dash line.
the
Yes.
long dashes, yeah.
Yeah.
Right here.
That is actually the limit of clearing, that line there.
So what's,
This is the wall here, and then this is the setback line.
line, okay.
Yep, so it actually,
Okay, I see, yeah, right there.
yep, yeah,
There, here.
yeah, so it
Across.
comes back all the way here, and it's actually, yeah. That's why I printed up that small plan that I
This
made
one
by
is
17.
The,
Did I give you one?
yeah, we got
Oh, yeah, right here. Because that one ends up getting rid of all the contour lines.
right.
And it just gives you a little clearer picture as to the setback. And
So that much is in it here.
yes,
This, just as much here.
that much is out. But
No, this much is out.
th-
That's in the setback.
that's in the setback, and this part is in the setback.
That's not the setback.
So we got some in the
This part
front,
right
yeah.
here. And that's it.
Yeah.
First question I have is in the application for a wall, as post and pre-wall construction, that we, do we town have copies of those?
I don't believe we submitted any of those yet.
It's a requirement of building the stone wall. Any
Correct.
stone wall greater than 4 feet.
Correct.
And what we will need that in order to do that. There's a pre-construction wall construction control document, which does not need to be done unless it's above 4 feet,
Correct.
and a post-construction. So the pre-construction would allow our engineer to take a look at it and make
Yep.
comment. So do we have someone from staff? Do we know, are you the staff today?
Yes.
So do we know, has Ray looked at this wall?
He has.
We don't have any comments from him.
His comment was is that it's in the setback.
His comment was that, what?
It's in the setback, that's why they had to come from
Well, I know, but as far as
the wall
as far as-
construction.
the wall construction that's being proposed,
I don't think it's gotten that far yet.
No, wouldn't it be a condition of the?
no. Ray would have preliminary review, and he would give his comments prior to any authorization, because that's, we've gone too many times and said that it's gonna be a condition, and then all of a sudden it gets there and it's too late. So the engineer has to look at it first. That's why they call it pre and post. The pre-construction means that he has to review it and give his comments.
I understand that, but the purpose of tonight is to see whether the zoning board is gonna allow them to build a 6-foot wall in the setback area. And then once we've decided that, then they can continue with the pre and post design and inspections, correct?
If we,
If we say
correct,
no,
if we get approval tonight, then we could proceed with this design and submit it to the engineer.
The detailed engineering.
Well, I
Right,
think-
right. But up until, if we don't get approval, then the whole design changes. So it's kind of,
right, that's-
Jack, yes,
Mr.
comment,
Chairman.
I'm sorry.
I think, Paul, to respond to your questions and tie into Delia's, we can approve it conditionally, subject to review by the town engineer. If the town engineer failed to approve it, then it wouldn't go forward. They'd have to come back with another plan, i.e. the 8-foot concrete wall. So if we approve it, then it's up to the ball's in Ray Corbett's court to say yay or nay on the design. I mean, it's pretty well spelled out if you look at the details and how the wall is going to be built with the, the capstone, the soil, there's going to be drainage. Actually,
That's not gonna happen.
Huh?
That's not gonna happen. This is the same design that we received for the wall that was done up around the hairpin corner, and it was never built like that. So this design, unless it's gonna change, was designed by the same engineer who signed off on it. I understand that, but it was never designed like this. It was never installed like this.
So you've got, the proof is in the pudding. There is the pudding mix right there, the way it's going to be done. And then it's somebody's function to follow up to make sure it's done that way. I actually, Mr. Chairman, walked the site with the builder at my request. He met me up there to see exactly how they were going to mitigate drainage coming off the bank behind it. And consequently, you know, he explained, and he can maybe go into a little more detail how they're going to do that. But he explained the need for that wall. And, you know, to me, it makes 100% sense. And we're talking 100% of sense. We're making, you know, decision really on a 2-foot wall above what normally could have been without anybody coming before for a variance, because a 4-foot setback is allowed in, a 4-foot wall is allowed in the setback without the variance, so consequently. So, I'm sorry,
Underneath the 4-foot walls, yeah.
yeah,
Whose job, Paul, is it your job to make sure it's built this way, or is it? I mean, I agree with Paul, the way the other walls have been built doesn't follow the plans that we were given. So I think the bigger problem is to make sure it's constructed the way it's engineered,
Well, and
correct? I mean, I
Right,
don't
I mean,
know,
and-
site
and-
every day.
not for nothing, but there is another way to design this with a engineered wall besides a rock wall. It could be an engineered wall, which is a vertical wall, which could put this back in the setback. If you did a straight vertical wall, it could be within the setback, right? So it could be designed so it's not
We would end up with a steeper driveway leading up there.
with an engineered wall instead of a stone. An engineered wall will go vertical.
So
Paul,
are you saying keep the wall out of the setback?
You could
They
do,
can't in
you,
the front.
So we're
right,
gonna do.
no, I'm just saying, there's not, I mean,
They can't do that in the front.
if you take a look at an engineered wall as a vertical wall, and it could be placed within the setback and still retain. The other question I have is, the flow that you're directing here, is it going into the 2 dry wells?
Yeah.
And then where does it go from the dry wells? It goes down into the ground?
Yeah.
And when the dry wells are full, where does it go?
It just overflows.
It overflows and goes over the rock wall? It looks like the directions shows it going over the rock wall.
It's grass, it'll be grass there. But it's designed for a 25-year storm.
But when these overflow, when these are full, where does the water flow?
Over,
Can you show me the direction here? Where the water flows when those,
are we talking about the wall or are we talking about drainage here? I'm a little
I
confused.
think this
I'm
question
talking
was
about the
dry
drainage
well.
that comes, the reason that you got this rock wall, so you divert some of this drainage. And it's going into these 2 dry wells. Right, it's going into these 2 dry wells.
Yeah.
And then from there, when they overflow, they go over this way, right?
Correct, yeah.
So the water's gonna flow over that rock wall. When and if these are full.
When and if, yeah, and just like water has been flowing off of that hill for a very long time.
Well, I had a lot of trees on it prior to being cut, but this, I don't think it's a great idea to have that water going over that rock wall. I can tell you that when that fills up. And has there been any hydraulic calculations done? Because when the water goes down into the basin and flows into the
Oh, yeah.
groundwater,
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna hydraulically load that soil
Yeah.
and back to that rock wall.
You're looking at a distance of about, what did we have, 40 scale of about 80 feet. Yeah, no, we've done the calculations. Ray has looked at this twice. He's looking at it for a 3rd time right now.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm just interested in his comments about that stuff. If he's okay with it, I'm okay with it. I just, without having his input on any of this, I can't make a decision, I can tell you.
Jack?
I'm just gonna make the comment, I don't have an engineering degree, so I'm not here to tell the engineer what he can or what he should do. He's being paid by the homeowner, the builder's working with him to do it the way that they want to do it. I mean, you've got other ideas, maybe if you're gonna build a house, that's your deal. But, you know, he's come with the way that the plan shows that it's going to be built for the homeowner's request and the builder's input. Like I said, I went up there and walked, I didn't see, unless there's a major 25-year storm, like he said, the water's gonna run down to the west and it's gonna run down southeast, if I'm not mistaken, in the way that the topo is up there. So I don't see it being a major issue for any property. I live below that house. And again, we have a letter here from one of the homeowners, Mr. Case, who's up above him, and he's in favor. I certainly am in favor of it as a homeowner and someone that would be impacted. I don't see where it's gonna cause, and this would be subject to Ray getting his input, working with Craig Sack, and you know, saying yes, the way it's proposed to be built. And if you feel uncomfortable that things haven't been built, we could hire a building inspector through the CIP program, or we could hire it through the budget committee, or we could have the fire chief go up there. You know, I don't know. We pay to do a lot of different jobs, Ron, I know that. But you know what I'm saying, Paul? I think.
No, I hear what you're saying. Look, I'm just uncomfortable without having the town's engineer look at this before I make a decision as to whether or not you should even have a rock wall or there should be an engineered wall there. There have been decisions that have been made, for example, at South Peak, where they have put, due to confined areas, they have had to put in engineered walls instead of rock walls. So it's very important, I think, to get the town engineer's input on this. If the town engineer has done his calculations and done all his hydraulic analysis and he agrees with the engineer that the applicant is hired, I've got no problem moving forward, but I certainly think that we ought to get the town's engineer, get his comments prior to issuing any kind of a variance. By the way, the other thing I wanted to ask, when I was looking at this, are you in the butter?
Not a direct abutter, no.
Because it lists you and Ray in the abutters thing. I don't know if it's
A conflict of interest?
no, I'm just asking if you're in the butter.
No,
Because
not a direct.
it was
I'm in
listed.
the homeowners association up there.
It was listed. I mean, I also work for the guy at Delana too, but I mean,
The
it's,
guy that owns the property next to him and behind him, right?
right. So we may have some conflicts if it is that way. I'm just,
To move this along, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the request for the variance, subject to a review by the town engineer within 20 days.
Second.
Want a second? Any discussion?
I'm just gonna repeat for the record that I think we should get input from the town engineer before we look at giving any variances out.
But we're not giving a variance out. We're giving a conditional variance out at this point.
We're still, right.
Subject to approval by the town engineer, rather than bring everybody back, a waste of everybody's time. If not, you know, if the town engineer says, no, let's get another.
Well, we should have
hearing
the
with another
town
drawing.
Jack, we should have had, and honestly, Jack, we should have had the town engineer here tonight, either via Zoom or sitting here, so that we could have got the benefit of his comments.
I
We
tried,
don't
he
have
didn't
that.
come.
Huh?
I tried, he didn't want to come.
Well, I mean, we should have had that. And I don't know why we don't have that. When we have planning board meetings, our town engineer is there and he gives us the benefit of his knowledge and if he's got any concerns, that might either for or against, he might say, you know, you really should be doing this instead of this. And I truly think that we're not doing the right thing by doing this.
I'll move the question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Go ahead, Ray.
I do have a question or two here. Paul, you brought up the dry wells and what happens if there's an overflow. And as I look to the northeast, I see a substantial additional amount of land that's owned by Triano. And if I follow the topo, we've got a topo of around 1250 coming out of those dry wells. And then the whole lot slopes downward from there to the northeast. I understand your concern about having water go directly over the existing stone wall along Queens Way. It appears to me it may be possible, and maybe the engineer could address this, that the something could be done so that any excess water is directed within the lot and directed to the northeast. And to the northeast is downward, I think, so it looks like a fairly simple solution to that question. Can you address
Sure.
that?
Yep.
Can that be done?
Sure, yep, we could do that.
Yeah, because it shouldn't go over the rock wall. I mean, there's a full road there that could bring it down into the other ditch.
Right,
Maybe, you know, and that, maybe in that old road.
Okay, back to the, you gotta, first and
I
second.
don't know if we want to make that a condition or not of approval.
Well, I think Ray looks, if Ray looks at it and through the minutes, someone needs to convey that to Ray.
From what I understand, if we approve building the wall in the setback, it's gonna be over a 4-foot wall. It all has to be engineered, it all has to be given to Ray to check. There's an application process for that. That's not our job. We're not engineers.
No.
So our job is to say whether or not we think it's fair that they build the wall in the setback. I feel that that's the only thing that we are here to.
And I'm not trying to throw roadblocks in the way. I'm trying to address, I mean, this town has gone through all
Oh, I
sorts,
understand, but
all sorts of problems, not problems, concerns, and one death about over a rock wall.
exactly.
That's why the town went to the rock wall ordinance. We start giving variances for rock walls over 4 feet, and where are we gonna stop? And
But
that-
it's not,
I'm just stating that,
I understand.
I'm just saying
If
that,
we
you
give a
know,
variance, it has to be an engineered wall, and it has to be an approved engineered wall. So I don't see that, if that's the condition, that's the condition. That's what,
I'll move
I
the
would-
question
I
to
would
vote,
suggest.
Mr. Chairman.
I had a first, I had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed?
to move the question.
Oh, we moved the question, we voted on it.
I made a motion to move the question.
Okay, move the question. Vote on moving the question, yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, so we move the question. Now we need to vote on
Now
that.
we need to vote.
Okay. So the vote was, can you repeat your statement?
If I can remember that, Bob. To approve the variance as requested, subject to a review by the town engineer, taking into consideration the issues that have been mentioned, such as Mr. Demonte's and Mr. Bowden's concerns.
Ray, seconded it? Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Any other comments? Any-
Would you like the plans back? These plans back?
Motion.
Need somebody on it.
All right, is there any public comment at this time?
No.
Motion to close public comment.
Take a motion open.
I know. It's been a while since we said it. Getting rusty.
It's been a while.
What are they doing up the Halloween?
I have one question about minutes.
Okay,
I
sorry.
thought we had to approve 2
They don't
separate
need anything in
minutes.
this town anymore.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know anything about that?
You just need to show up.
This is the only package that Carol left before she left on vacation.
You can't get,
So,
Laurie's going,
you can't get a permit to save your ass.
John,
There's something
Yeah.
else you
Laurie's going
checked
to
on?
go up there. He's put like a 5,000 square foot addition.
Oh, I called Jimmy Spanos, you know, because he's my friend. He goes, I don't know anything about it. I'm like, well, aren't you the chair of the planning
I won't say
board?
it's 5,000, but he's got, he's putting a big addition onto his
Yeah.
house
radio
up there.
stop?
Yeah,
So he's gonna live up there full time. They
I
sold
see.
the house.
I just saw dump trucks. I'm like, here we go. Wall,
Oh,
wall.
I can check on that.
Yeah.
thank you.
Do you want me to get back to you? or-
What's that?
No.
Doesn't matter.
She'll know
Yeah,
whether
oh,
we
yes.
do it or
Are
not.
you still in session or have you ended the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Anybody second it? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Thank you.